what I want to do is I want to give you a framework that will help you make sense of the kind of leadership that you need in your current role and for any future role that you may be aspiring to. Let's look at a few of these myths, these leadership myths. And the first one is this, that leadership is innate. Now, when I was working for that textile company, I was really tempted to believe this one, that in actual fact, that I didn't have it in me to lead either on Mars or on Venus. And notice the thing about this myth is that what it says is that some people have it and some people don't. And the fact is that that's wrong. We have seen plenty of leaders who've been struggling and failing, and when they've been turned around, when they've got the right information, they've actually turned around. So we want to dispel this myth. When I was in the dye plant, that's what was missing. I was missing the kind of information that would help me to do a better job of it. So let's dispel this myth. Leadership can be learned. Now, the second myth is this, that leading at one level is the same as leading at the next level. Now, you would agree with me that going from Mars to Venus is a pretty significant transition, leading men to leading women. But in actual fact, there was a much bigger transition going on that I didn't even realize at the time. In the dye plant, I was leading men who had no direct reports. When I went to the production unit, I was leading 8 women who each one of them had somewhere between 20 and 30 people who reported directly to them. Now that is a very significant difference. And the reality is that what we need to take away from this is that leading at one level is not necessarily the same as leading at the next level. There's a huge difference between leading people who have no direct reports and leading people who are leading other people. So we want to dispel this myth. The lesson is that we need to learn what it's going to take for the next job that we go to, for the next level that we move to, because it's very likely to be different. So here's the third myth, and that is that technical competence is the same as leadership competence. Now, this is a very widespread myth. In fact, it's actually the basis for most of the promotions that we have, especially early on in our careers. We do a good job, and so we're a good individual contributor, so we actually get promoted. And the problem with that is that it really is different. What we end up having is a good salesperson who ends up being a bad sales manager. Or we have a physician, a great physician, who ends up being a poor department leader or a department chair. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't promote people who have technical competence, but it does mean that the basis of their success is going to be fundamentally different when they move into a leadership role. It's not going to be dependent as much on their technical competence. It's going to be dependent on their leadership competence. And I'm actually going to explain what I mean by that. Now, here are these 3 myths. There are a lot of others we could go into. But the question that they beg is this: why do they all exist? Why are there so many myths around leadership? Well, the reason is that leadership is incredibly complex.